30 of the most bizarre inventions in history. Ever wondered about the bizarre and brilliant inventions of the past? From vibrating belts to mechanical cats, history is filled with quirky creations that didn't quite make it, but still left a mark. Join us as we explore 30 of the most unusual inventions that make you ask, what were they thinking? Massage helmet. Back in the 1960s, going to a spa for a head massage wasn't the only option to unwind. There was an unusual invention that made it possible to enjoy a relaxing scalp massage at home, the massage helmet. This bizarre device worked using air pressure to provide a soothing, almost therapeutic rub-down for your head. You'd simply slip on the helmet, and the air-powered system would do the rest, gently massaging your scalp to relieve tension and stress. Although it might sound a bit strange today, this invention was ahead of its time and could be found in some households looking for a unique way to relax. Surprisingly, similar versions of the massage helmet are still around today, though they're often smaller, sleeker, and more portable, offering a modern twist on the original idea. Siamese dancing shoes. Ever feel like you have two left feet when you try to dance? Well, back in 1981, a quirky invention called the Siamese dancing shoes was introduced, and they promised to solve that exact problem. Designed specifically for ballroom dancing, these shoes were intended to help couples stay in sync while gliding across the dance floor. The concept was simple. The shoes were physically joined together, forcing both dancers to move in harmony as they practiced the foxtrot, waltz, or any other dance. However, despite the noble intention of keeping partners coordinated, these shoes were more likely to create chaos than grace. The idea was featured in the Better Living catalog, which was known for its playful and often ridiculous products. While it's unclear if these shoes were ever actually meant to be taken seriously, they certainly provided a comical way to help couples stay close, though probably not in the way they had in mind. More likely than not, couples wearing these shoes would end up tripping over their own feet, creating more laughter than elegance on the dance floor. Rubber bumper. The early 20th century was a perilous time for pedestrians and drivers alike. With car crash deaths sometimes surpassing 20,000 people in a single year and injuries reaching the hundreds of thousands, road safety was a major concern. In response to this alarming trend, inventor A.J. Graham came up with a strange but innovative idea in the 1930s, the rubber bumper. Unlike the traditional metal bumpers found on cars today, Graham's design featured a large sponge rubber seat intended to protect pedestrians from injury if they were struck by a speeding vehicle. The idea was that the soft, cushioning material would absorb the impact, reducing the severity of injuries for anyone unlucky enough to get hit. While this may sound like a noble attempt at improving road safety, it was also quite bizarre. After all, no one was suggesting that pedestrians should be padded for protection, nor that cars should be driven with giant cushions attached. Mass shaving machine. In the 19th century, the assembly line revolutionized industries, and it wasn't long before the concept of mass efficiency made its way into barbershops. Enter the mass shaving machine, a peculiar invention designed to allow barbers to shave up to a dozen men at the same time. The idea behind this machine was to speed up the shaving process, much like how factories were streamlining production by working on multiple items at once. The device was essentially a large, complex contraption that positioned multiple customers in a row, with razors or blades attached to mechanical arms, ensuring that each man got a shave simultaneously. While the goal was efficiency, it may have been a bit too much in terms of comfort and precision. After all, getting a clean, close shave usually requires careful attention, not a factory-like approach. Spaghetti aid. Eating a bowl of spaghetti is a delight, but for some, the struggle of twirling those long noodles around a fork can be frustrating. Enter the spaghetti aid, a quirky invention designed to make this process a whole lot easier. This simple device would quickly wind the spaghetti noodles around the fork, eliminating the need for the traditional twirling technique. The idea was all about convenience and speed, allowing pasta lovers to enjoy their meals without the mess or hassle. Though it seemed like a fun novelty product, it didn't exactly revolutionize the way people ate spaghetti, and its popularity faded. However, the spaghetti aid didn't disappear completely. In recent years, it made a comeback, now upgraded with a battery-powered version that promises even quicker, more effortless noodle winding. Family bicycle. Imagine going for a bike ride with the entire family, all riding together on the same machine. That was the idea behind the family bicycle, invented by Charles Steinlauf. This unique design, created in the early 20th century, featured space for several riders to participate in the fun. It had spots for 2 people to pedal, a seat for 1 person to ride at the front, and even a dedicated spot for a seamstress to continue her work while on the move, sewing as the family pedaled along. This invention was more than just a bicycle. It was a mobile, social, and productive experience. The idea was to make family outings more engaging and efficient, with the added bonus of allowing the seamstress to multitask. Have you ever come across any weird gadgets that didn't make the cut? Share them with us. Chain smoker. For those who just couldn't get enough of their cigarette fix, the chain smoker device was the answer. At least, that's what its creators thought. This peculiar contraption allowed smokers to inhale from up to 10 cigarettes at once, delivering a massive nicotine rush all at once. It was a shocking and dangerous idea, designed to cater to those who couldn't quite satisfy their craving with just 1 cigarette. While this might sound downright appalling by today's health standards, things were very different in the mid-20th century. Back then, many doctors actually endorsed smoking, believing it had health benefits, or at least was harmless. The chain smoker device fit into that mindset, playing into the culture of excessive smoking that was all too common at the time. Amphibocycle. In the early 1900s, cyclists didn't have to let lakes or rivers get in the way of their adventures, thanks to the invention of the Amphibocycle. This innovative vehicle was designed to function like a regular bicycle on land, but with one extraordinary twist: it could also ride over water. The Amphibocycle was equipped with special features like pontoons or floating wheels that allowed it to glide across lakes and rivers, keeping the cycling journey going without interruption. The concept was ahead of its time, offering the freedom to pedal over both solid ground and water, combining the joy of cycling with the thrill of water exploration. Fast forward to today, and modern water bikes have taken this idea even further, offering high performance, improved balancing, and enhanced maneuverability, even around tight corners. Dynasphere. In the early 1930s, British inventor John Purvis took inspiration from one of Leonardo da Vinci's fantastical designs and created the Dynasphere, a monowheel vehicle that looked as if it had jumped out of a science fiction novel. Unlike traditional bicycles or cars, the Dynasphere had just one large wheel, and the driver sat inside it, controlling the vehicle by shifting their weight. With the ability to reach speeds of up to 30 miles per hour, it offered a thrilling, albeit unstable, ride. While the Dynasphere was a marvel of invention, it came with some serious risks. Braking could be tricky, and drivers often found themselves flipping head over heels if they tried to stop too quickly. Despite its short-lived existence, the Dynasphere's concept was ahead of its time, and today, pedal-powered monowheels have made a comeback. Modern versions, which can cost thousands of dollars, are much safer and even feature glowing lights for a futuristic flair. Toshiba View Phone. Before FaceTime, Zoom, or Skype became commonplace in our daily lives, the idea of seeing someone while talking to them on the phone was a groundbreaking concept. Enter the Toshiba View Phone, an early attempt at video calling, introduced in the 1980s. This device allowed users to see each other on a small video screen while they spoke, making it one of the first consumer products to bring video communication to the masses. At the time, video chatting was a futuristic and novel experience, one that felt almost like science fiction. The Toshiba View phone was a major leap forward in communication technology, though it was still limited by the available infrastructure and technology. Fast forward to today, and video calls have become a routine part of life, seamlessly integrated into apps we use every day. Anti-Bandit Briefcase. In a time when theft was a real concern, some inventors came up with creative, and sometimes bizarre, ways to protect personal belongings. One such invention was the Anti-Bandit Briefcase, designed with a clever mechanism to foil would-be thieves. If a thief tried to steal it, the briefcase would automatically release its contents, scattering everything across the ground. This not only made the stolen items difficult to carry off, but also left the thief with a huge mess to deal with. Interestingly, this wasn't the most extreme anti-theft invention of the time. There were similar bags that, when tampered with, would release a chemical vapor, emitting a smoky cloud to deter thieves, though it likely would have caused quite a bit of chaos for anyone nearby. The Anti-Bandit Briefcase, in contrast, offered a less alarming but still effective way to thwart theft, making it a quirky piece of history in the world of security inventions. Water taxi. In Somerville, Massachusetts, travelers in the past had an interesting option for crossing rivers without the hassle of traditional ferries or rowboats: the water taxi. This on-demand service allowed passengers to hop on a boat and travel across the river quickly and conveniently, much like how taxis function on the streets. It was a novel way to navigate water routes, making it easier for people to get from point A to point B without dealing with the time and effort of more conventional water transport. The idea behind the water taxi didn't fade into history. In fact, it has seen a resurgence in modern times. In 2019, ride-hailing giant Uber launched its own water taxi service in Mumbai, India, proving that the convenience of on-demand water transport is still very much in demand today. Thank you for watching. To continue with more content, comment yes to let us know you're still following. Illuminated Tires. In the 1960s, Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company tried to add a little extra flair to American cars with an unusual invention: illuminated tires. These tires were outfitted with 18 internal light bulbs, which lit up as the car drove, giving vehicles a glowing, futuristic look. The concept was well received for its bold, flashy style, offering a unique way to stand out on the road, especially at night. It was the perfect combination of technology and design, giving cars a whole new level of visual appeal. However, despite the initial excitement, these illuminated tires were too costly and impractical to mass produce. The idea didn't take off on a large scale, as the expense of installing and maintaining such a feature proved prohibitive. Still, the futuristic vision didn't vanish entirely. The Golden Sahara II, a concept car from 1954, was one of the few vehicles to feature the glowing tires. In 2019, the car was restored to its original glory, complete with a fresh set of Goodyear's iconic illuminated tires, continuing the legacy of this bold, dazzling innovation. Golf robot. In the 1920s, golfers looking to perfect their swing had an unusual teaching aid at their disposal: the golf robot. This early robotic invention was designed to demonstrate the ideal swing, helping players learn the technique with precision. While the capabilities of this first golf robot were probably limited by the technology of the time, it marked an interesting step in combining automation and sports training. Fast forward to modern times, and golf robots have evolved significantly. One of the most impressive examples is a robot named after legendary golfer Tiger Woods, which stunned audiences by scoring a hole-in-one at a rain goggles for race drivers. In the 1930s, race car drivers faced a unique challenge when driving in the rain: how to keep their vision clear while speeding through wet conditions in open cars. The solution? rain goggles designed specifically for the job. These goggles, equipped with small wipers, were intended to clear rain from the lenses, allowing drivers to maintain focus on the road during a race. It was a clever way to combine the practicality of windshield wipers with the need for clear vision in fast-paced, rain-soaked races. Though these goggles were a quirky and practical invention at the time, they didn't remain a staple in race car technology for long. Today, a cheap plastic version of these rain goggles can still be found on platforms like Amazon, offering a bit of nostalgic novelty. Air drive system. In the 1910s, an innovative invention tried to change the way cars operated: an air drive system. This fan-powered car used compressed air to propel the vehicle, offering a potential alternative to the gasoline-powered engines of the time. The idea was revolutionary, especially considering today's growing concerns about climate change and the push for cleaner, sustainable transportation. Back then, however, the air drive system didn't quite catch on, partly because of the technological limitations and the popularity of traditional combustion engines. Fast forward to 2015, and the concept of compressed air-powered cars made a return to the spotlight. A modern version was even featured on the hit show Shark Tank, showcasing the potential for eco-friendly, air-powered vehicles in today's market. Hip trimmer. In the 1920s, the quest for a slimmer waistline took a unique turn with the invention of the hip trimmer. This vibrating exercise belt promised to help users jiggle the fat away without ever stepping foot in a gym. By simply wearing the belt, the theory was that the vibrations would help tone and trim the body, particularly around the waist, offering an effortless solution to weight loss. The idea caught on, and similar devices, especially ones that used electrical stimulation to tone muscles, continued to be marketed over the decades. Fast forward to the early 2000s, and similar gadgets were being sold with even more exaggerated claims. In fact, marketers of these devices were later forced to pay $7 million in fines by the Federal Trade Commission for overstating the fitness benefits and misleading consumers about the effectiveness of their products. Churchill's pressure egg. During Winston Churchill's time, flying at high altitudes wasn't as comfortable or safe as it is today. Aircraft pressurization technology was still in its early stages, and that's where the Institute of Aviation Medicine stepped in with an unusual solution: a pressurized pod, affectionately known as Churchill's pressure egg. This specially designed chamber was built to protect the British Prime Minister during high-altitude flights, allowing him to breathe more easily and travel safely without the discomfort of low air pressure. However, despite the thoughtful design, the pressure egg faced some significant challenges. Its large size and heavy weight made it impractical for regular use in aircraft. Ultimately, Churchill rejected the device, likely finding it more cumbersome than beneficial. Instead, he was probably more comfortable in his C-54 Skymaster, a more conventional aircraft, which allowed for safer and more efficient air travel. Which of these quirky inventions do you think would be the most useful in modern times? Ornithopter. In 1963, engineer Alan Stewart took the concept of human flight to a whole new level with his invention, the Ornithopter. Unlike traditional airplanes, which use fixed wings for lift, the Ornithopter was designed to mimic the flight of birds by flapping its wings. The idea was to create a machine that would allow humans to experience flight, just like our feathered friends. Stewart's Ornithopter was an ambitious attempt at truly aerodynamic, bird-like flight, blending engineering and nature in a fascinating way. While the full-scale version of Stewart's Ornithopter never became a practical mode of transportation, the concept still found a place in the world today. Smaller, modern versions of ornithopters are now used at airports to help manage bird populations, scaring away pigeons and seagulls from runways. These mini ornithopters don't flap their wings quite like Stewart's design, but they do help make air travel safer by keeping unwanted birds away from aircraft. It's an intriguing example of how this early vision of human flight continues to inspire both technology and wildlife management. Pramobile. In the 1920s, the Pramobile took the concept of the baby carriage to a whole new level, offering a motorized version that allowed parents to cruise the streets with their little ones at speeds of up to 15 miles per hour. Imagine a traditional pram or baby carriage, but instead of being pushed by hand, it was powered by a small engine, giving parents the ability to get around quickly and effortlessly while their babies rested safely inside. Today, similar designs have evolved into bike trailers, allowing parents to tow their children behind them while cycling. These modern versions provide a safe and efficient way for families to stay active, proving that the idea of combining mobility with childcare is still very much alive, just with a more practical and popular twist. Modern house. In the 1960s and 1970s, the idea of futuristic living was embodied in the Futuro house, a striking spaceship-like structure designed with portability and weather resistance in mind. Created by Finnish architect Matti Suurinen, the Futuro was intended to be a modern, mobile home for families looking to live in harmony with the future. Its unique UFO-inspired design featured a circular shape and was built using lightweight, durable materials to withstand the elements. The idea was to create a home that could be easily transported and set up in a variety of environments. Despite its innovative design, less than 100 of these futuristic houses were built, and today, about 60 remain scattered around the world. Though the Futuro might not have become a mainstream housing option, it continues to be a fascinating example of how mid-20th century visions of the future influenced architecture and design. Roofsleeper. In the 1950s, traveling long distances by car could be exhausting, but one inventive solution gave tired travelers a way to rest on the go. The Roofsleeper was a clever invention that turned the roof of a vehicle into a private sleeping area. It was essentially a compact bed that could be mounted on top of a car, allowing the traveler to sleep comfortably while staying with their vehicle. Perfect for road trips or long drives when there were no convenient places to stay. Nowadays, people looking for a unique travel experience often sleep in vans or converted campers that offer similar comfort, but with added amenities. The popularity of van life and camper conversions, many of which are available for rent on platforms like Airbnb, shows that the idea of mobile, cozy sleeping spaces is still alive and thriving, just with a more polished, comfortable touch. Which of these bizarre inventions would you have actually used if it were available today? Spring shoes. In the 1930s, footwear took a quirky leap forward with the invention of spring shoes. These shoes had coils tucked into the heels, designed to add a bit of bounce to the wearer's step, making walking feel a little lighter and more spring-loaded. The idea was to give people a bit of extra pep, reducing the strain of walking long distances and making every step a bit more springy and fun. Over time, coils and spring-like materials found their way into the soles of modern sneakers, not for added bounce, but to absorb shock and ease foot pain. Today, many athletic shoes incorporate technology that cushions the foot with similar principles in mind, helping to reduce impact on the joints and making walking or running more comfortable. Electric slimming. In the 1960s, the desire for quick and effortless weight loss led to the invention of electric slimming devices. Instead of relying on exercise or diet, these machines promised to help people lose weight by using electricity. Pads were placed all over the body, and a mild electrical current would stimulate the muscles, causing them to contract and supposedly burn fat. The idea was that this would provide a workout without any of the sweat or effort typically associated with exercise. Today, similar concepts have evolved into more scientifically backed technologies like TENS units for pain relief or electrostimulation devices used in physical therapy. but the 1960s electric slimming fad remains a curious chapter in the history of weight loss. Doughnut Dunker. In the 1930s, dunking a donut into a cup of coffee without making a mess was no longer a dream, thanks to amateur inventor Russell E. Oakes. He created the Doughnut Dunker, a clever device designed to keep your fingers dry while you enjoyed the perfect dunk. The gadget held the donut securely while allowing the user to dip it into their coffee without worrying about getting their hands wet or losing the donut in the drink. While the Doughnut Dunker might sound like a quirky solution to a small problem, it tapped into the growing love for donuts and coffee as the ultimate breakfast pairing. As for whether the invention lived up to the standards of the National Dunking Association, a donut-focused group from the same era, that remains unclear, but it certainly brought some level of sophistication to the art of dunking. Butter protector. In the 1950s, dining etiquette was important, and nothing was more embarrassing than reaching across the table and accidentally dragging your sleeve through a stick of butter. To solve this dilemma, American amateur inventor Russell E. Oakes came up with a quirky invention, the butter protector. This spider-like gadget was designed to cover the butter, keeping it safe from accidental sleeve encounters and preserving the butter's pristine appearance. Over the years, we've moved away from such contraptions, and modern diners now use more luxurious butter keepers to avoid the same problem. Or, in a more polite fashion, simply ask someone else to pass the butter when needed. Still, Oakes's invention is a charming example of how creative solutions were devised to navigate the little annoyances of everyday life. Yodel Meter. Before auto-tune became the go-to tool for perfecting a singer's pitch, there was an unusual invention that attempted to do something similar, the Yodel Meter. Captured in a photo around 1925, this device was designed to measure the pitch of a singer's voice. While it may not have been as flashy or high-tech as today's music tools, the Yodel Meter was an early attempt to analyze and fine-tune vocal performances. The idea behind it was simple. By measuring the pitch, the Yodel Meter could help singers better control their tone and pitch accuracy, much like modern technology does today. This device was especially useful for singers who wanted to ensure their voices hit the right notes, but it wasn't the kind of tool you'd find in a recording studio. Instead, it was a more scientific approach to the art of singing, possibly used for vocal training or even in music schools to help students perfect their craft. Duplex Hand-Scale. Back in the 1950s, housewives had a clever new way to measure ingredients without cluttering their kitchens with a bunch of measuring cups. Enter the Duplex Hand-Scale, a unique tool that combined the function of a scale with the convenience of a spoon. This plastic spoon was designed with a scale built right into the handle, allowing cooks to weigh whatever was placed inside it. Whether it was flour, sugar, or spices, the Duplex Hand-Scale made it easy to get the exact amount needed for recipes without the mess of multiple measuring cups. Imagine how useful it would be to have one of these gadgets in your kitchen today, helping you cook with precision while saving space. Cat-Mew Machine. In 1963, inventors in Japan came up with a novel way to deal with unwanted mice in the home, a mechanical cat, or Cat-Mew Machine. This quirky gadget was designed to scare off rodents without the need for real cats. The machine would mimic the presence of a feline by lighting up its eyes and meowing 10 times every minute, creating a cat-like atmosphere that was meant to intimidate mice into leaving the area. While it was an interesting attempt at solving the age-old problem of mice infestations, the Cat-Mew Machine probably didn't have the same effectiveness as a real cat. Still, it stands as a fun example of the kind of creative solutions inventors dreamed up in the mid-20th century. 20 Most Dangerous Inventions from the 70s that are now banned. A routine renovation exposed a chilling reminder of the 1970s, a time when danger hid in plain sight. From miracle weight loss pills to exploding car parts and radioactive home gadgets, These banned inventions once filled our lives. Curious what else was lurking in your childhood home? Let's uncover the 30 most dangerous inventions of the 1970s. Candy cigarettes. During the 1970s, candy cigarettes were widely popular among children, designed to closely mimic real cigarettes. These treats came as sugary sticks, bubble gum, or chocolate wrapped in paper resembling genuine cigarette packaging. Some brands even cleverly emitted small puffs of powdered sugar or cornstarch, adding to their realistic appearance. Initially viewed as playful and innocent, these candies soon faced harsh criticism for subtly promoting smoking and glamorizing tobacco use among young people. Researchers raised alarms, pointing to studies indicating children who regularly enjoyed candy cigarettes were significantly more likely to smoke actual cigarettes later in life. Amid growing awareness of tobacco's health dangers, public health advocates strongly opposed the normalization of smoking behaviors through these treats. As anti-smoking movements gained strength, many countries and states responded by banning or strictly regulating candy cigarettes, marking a vital step toward reducing youth exposure to tobacco-related influence. Tris in children's pajamas. In the 1970s, parents were encouraged to buy flame-retardant pajamas for their children, offering peace of mind in case of a fire. One of the most commonly used chemicals at the time was tris-2,3-dibromopropyl phosphate, or tris, a compound praised for its fire-resistant properties. However, what parents didn't know was that this chemical came with serious health risks. Scientific studies revealed that tris could be absorbed through the skin and was linked to cancer in laboratory animals. Children, sleeping night after night in pajamas soaked with this toxic flame retardant, were unknowingly being exposed to a chemical that could slowly damage their health. The findings shocked the public and spurred a major push for consumer safety reform. In 1977, the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission took decisive action and banned tris from use in children's sleepwear. The incident led to increased scrutiny of chemicals in fabrics and remains a powerful example of how something designed to protect can sometimes do more harm than good. Thalidomide. Initially developed and promoted in the 1950s and widely used into the 1970s, thalidomide was prescribed as a sedative and an effective treatment for morning sickness in pregnant women. Marketed aggressively as a safe medication to alleviate nausea, it quickly gained popularity among expectant mothers worldwide. Tragically, its widespread use soon revealed catastrophic consequences. Thalidomide severely disrupted fetal development, causing profound and irreversible birth defects in thousands of babies. These children were often born with devastating limb abnormalities, including missing or severely shortened arms and legs, along with other serious congenital disabilities. Families across the globe faced unimaginable hardships, caring for children whose lives were forever impacted by inadequate pharmaceutical testing and oversight. The scale of the thalidomide disaster prompted global outrage and swift action from governments, leading to bans on the drug and a complete overhaul of pharmaceutical testing and approval processes. Thank you for watching. To continue with more content, comment yes to let us know you're still following. Cyclamates. In the 1960s and early 1970s, cyclamates were extremely popular artificial sweeteners found in diet sodas, candies, and numerous processed foods. These calorie-free substitutes were initially welcomed as a breakthrough, particularly valued by individuals managing weight or dealing with diabetes, as they provided sweetness without affecting blood sugar levels. However, the enthusiasm for cyclamates was short-lived. Alarm bells began to ring when scientific research revealed troubling results. Cyclamates were linked to bladder cancer in laboratory rats. These findings triggered widespread public concern about their potential cancer-causing effects in humans, leading to intense scrutiny and debate. Responding swiftly to growing anxieties, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration banned cyclamates in 1970, reflecting a significant shift in public health policy. The controversy surrounding cyclamates not only resulted in stricter safety regulations for artificial sweeteners, but also encouraged food manufacturers to explore safer alternatives such as aspartame and saccharin. Despite ongoing discussions and differing international policies, cyclamates remain banned in the United States to this day, symbolizing a cautious approach toward artificial sweeteners and food safety. DDT, dichlorodiphenyltrichloroethane. In the 1970s, DDT was celebrated as an extraordinary breakthrough in pest control, widely used in agriculture and public health to combat devastating crop pests and deadly mosquito-borne diseases such as malaria. Initially considered a miraculous chemical weapon in the battle against insects, its widespread adoption seemed promising. However, the optimism quickly faded as alarming environmental consequences surfaced. Scientific research began to reveal DDT's disastrous ecological effects. It accumulated rapidly within the food chain, poisoning wildlife from insects to birds and fish. Notably, species like the iconic bald eagle faced dramatic population declines because DDT weakened eggshells, preventing successful reproduction. Additionally, long-term human exposure raised significant health concerns, linking DDT to serious illnesses like cancer, liver problems, and reproductive disorders. Public outrage intensified, driven in large part by Rachel Carson's influential book, Silent Spring, prompting an urgent reassessment. By 1972, the United States banned DDT, setting a crucial environmental precedent. Although still used sparingly in certain countries for disease control, DDT's damaging legacy remains a powerful reminder of the importance of careful chemical management and environmental stewardship. Chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs. In the 1970s, chlorofluorocarbons, commonly known as CFCs, were hailed as a technological marvel. These chemicals were widely used in aerosol sprays, air conditioners, refrigerators, and foam insulation products, valued for their chemical stability and cooling efficiency. For years, they seemed like a perfect solution for modern living. However, scientists eventually uncovered a startling truth. When released into the atmosphere, CFCs rose into the stratosphere where they broke down ozone molecules, severely damaging Earth's protective ozone layer. This invisible shield protects life on Earth from harmful ultraviolet, UV rays, and its deterioration led to rising cases of skin cancer, cataracts, and disrupted ecosystems. The most dramatic evidence of this crisis came with the discovery of a massive ozone hole over Antarctica. Public concern and scientific urgency led to international cooperation and the creation of the 1987 Montreal Protocol, a groundbreaking agreement that successfully phased out CFC production worldwide. Although CFCs are now banned in most countries, their lingering effects remain, and global efforts continue to restore the ozone layer and prevent future environmental harm. Leaded gasoline. Throughout much of the 20th century, leaded gasoline was celebrated as a groundbreaking fuel additive designed to enhance engine performance by preventing knocking and extending engine life. Initially considered a modern marvel, leaded fuel soon became ubiquitous, powering cars across the globe. However, by the 1970s, the dark side of this seemingly beneficial innovation became shockingly apparent. Scientific research revealed that emissions from vehicles burning leaded gasoline were severely contaminating the air, unleashing a public health crisis. Studies uncovered disturbing connections between lead exposure and serious neurological damage, including reduced IQ levels, learning disabilities, and behavioral disorders, especially affecting children. Prolonged exposure also heightened risks of cardiovascular disease, kidney failure, and reproductive complications. Despite fierce resistance from powerful oil companies, environmental and health advocates successfully pushed for tighter regulations. By the 1980s, most nations had banned leaded gasoline altogether, shifting to safer, unleaded alternatives. Although unleaded fuel is now standard worldwide, the harmful legacy of past lead emissions continues to affect communities, highlighting the critical importance of rigorous environmental protections. Asbestos hair dryers. Throughout the 1970s, asbestos was widely celebrated as a remarkable material, prized for its incredible durability and resistance to heat. Unfortunately, its hidden dangers began to surface in everyday household items, notably hair dryers. Manufacturers utilized asbestos-lined heating elements in hair dryers to prevent overheating and increase safety, ironically, unknowingly endangering users instead. Each time these dryers were switched on, they silently released microscopic asbestos fibers into the air, invisible yet highly toxic. Over time, inhaling these particles caused devastating health issues, including mesothelioma, asbestosis, and lung cancer, illnesses that often remained dormant for decades before becoming evident. As scientific research increasingly revealed the severe health hazards linked to asbestos exposure, pressure from consumer advocacy groups and government regulators intensified. Eventually, by the late 1970s, the dangers of asbestos could no longer be ignored, leading to recalls and bans of asbestos-containing hair dryers. Safer alternatives with ceramic and metal heating elements replaced these dangerous devices, ensuring that hair care no longer risked deadly health consequences. Did you or someone you know ever use any of these dangerous 1970s inventions? What was the experience like? Aluminum beverage cans. In the 1970s, beverage companies eagerly shifted from heavy steel to lightweight aluminum cans, a move aimed at cutting production costs and enhancing convenience. Consumers quickly embraced these new, easy-to-handle containers, but the early versions harbored a serious flaw. Structural weakness combined with high carbonation pressures made them susceptible to sudden, explosive ruptures. Manufacturers initially underestimated the amount of internal pressure aluminum could safely handle, resulting in spontaneous bursting incidents. These dangerous explosions didn't just cause a messy inconvenience, they led to serious injuries, including deep cuts, lacerations, and even eye trauma. Shoppers were startled as supermarket shelves occasionally became hazardous zones, with cans unpredictably exploding, sending sharp aluminum fragments flying through the air. As public outcry grew louder and injury reports increased, beverage companies swiftly adjusted their manufacturing processes. They improved aluminum can designs by increasing their thickness and enhancing pressure tolerance, significantly reducing the explosion risk. Today's aluminum beverage cans remain safe and reliable, thanks to these critical adjustments made following the hazardous lessons learned from their explosive debut in the 1970s. Thermite-based flares. In the 1970s, thermite-based flares became popular as emergency signals to alert passing drivers to stranded vehicles along roadsides, praised initially for their extremely bright and highly visible glow. These flares were intended to prevent accidents and ensure safety. However, these seemingly helpful devices posed a serious hidden danger. They burned at temperatures exceeding 4,000 degrees Fahrenheit, 2,200 degrees Celsius. At such extreme heat, thermite flares could melt metal, ignite gasoline spills, and quickly escalate minor roadside mishaps into catastrophic fires. Another alarming issue was their resistance to water. Once ignited, thermite flames could not be extinguished with conventional methods, leaving accidents uncontrollable and incredibly dangerous. The risk of severe burns from handling these scorching hot flares incorrectly also added to the hazards. Increasing reports of accidents and vehicle fires caused by misused or misplaced thermite flares raised widespread concern among safety advocates and the public. Eventually, these dangerous emergency signals were phased out, replaced by safer and more reliable LED lights and electronic distress beacons that don't carry the risks of fire and injury associated with thermite. Radium watches. Throughout much of the early and mid-20th century, radium-infused watches became incredibly popular for their glowing dials, providing users with a convenient way to tell time even in total darkness. These luminous watches contained radium-226, a radioactive material capable of emitting a continuous, soft glow without any external energy source. However, beneath the convenience lurked a devastating risk, especially for those involved in their manufacture. Factory workers, predominantly young women known later as the Radium Girls, painted watch dials by hand. To achieve precise detail, they were instructed to lick their brushes to a fine point, unknowingly ingesting small amounts of radium. Tragically, repeated exposure led to severe radiation poisoning, causing horrific illnesses like jaw necrosis, severe anemia, and aggressive cancers. As news of these tragic health consequences spread, public outrage led to significant safety reforms. By the 1970s, radium was banned from watches, replaced by safer, non-radioactive phosphorescent materials. Mercury thermometers. In the 1970s, mercury thermometers were a common fixture in nearly every household, used routinely to check for fevers and monitor body temperature. Their slender glass design and high accuracy made them a trusted medical tool. But hidden within that simple device was a toxic threat: liquid mercury. If a thermometer cracked or shattered, the mercury inside could escape and evaporate into a dangerous vapor. Inhaling these fumes, even in small amounts, posed serious health risks, especially to children. Long-term exposure could result in neurological disorders, kidney damage, and developmental delays. On top of that, disposing of broken or outdated mercury thermometers often meant the toxic substance ended up in landfills where it could leach into water supplies and harm wildlife. As awareness of mercury's health and environmental dangers grew, governments around the world began phasing out mercury-based thermometers. By the early 2000s, most had introduced strict bans or regulations, replacing them with safer digital or alcohol-based alternatives. The shift marked the end of an era and the beginning of safer medical practices. Ephedra, mahuang. In the 1970s, ephedra, also known as mahuang, was a key ingredient in a wave of popular weight loss pills and energy supplements. Derived from the ephedra plant, it contained powerful ephedrine alkaloids that stimulated the nervous system, boosted metabolism, and increased fat burning. Marketed as a miracle remedy for obesity and a performance enhancer for athletes, ephedra gained rapid popularity in the health and fitness world. But as its use grew, so did alarming reports of dangerous side effects. Users began experiencing elevated blood pressure, rapid heartbeats, dizziness, strokes, and in extreme cases, sudden cardiac arrest. These health risks turned deadly in several high-profile cases, prompting public outcry and an avalanche of lawsuits. Scientific studies confirmed the serious dangers associated with ephedra, especially when combined with intense exercise or other stimulants. In response, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration officially banned ephedra in 2004, marking one of the rare times a dietary supplement was completely outlawed due to health hazards. Today, ephedra stands as a cautionary tale in the world of unregulated supplements. Chrysler turbine car. The Chrysler turbine car emerged in the 1970s as an impressive automotive innovation, captivating the public with its futuristic appeal and distinctive engineering. This car didn't run on ordinary gasoline. Instead, it was capable of operating on jet fuel, diesel, or even alcohol. Its gas turbine engine featured fewer moving components than traditional engines, promising reduced maintenance and emitting a unique futuristic sound that fascinated car enthusiasts. Despite this innovation, the turbine car had serious drawbacks. Its exhaust generated extreme heat, sometimes reaching temperatures high enough to melt or ignite nearby objects, posing a severe fire hazard. Additionally, this turbine-powered vehicle emitted dangerously high levels of pollutants, raising significant environmental concerns at a time when air quality became increasingly important. Another major issue was the car's sluggish acceleration and disappointing fuel economy, rendering it impractical for regular drivers. Chrysler produced only 50 prototypes, most of which were destroyed to protect proprietary technology. Although the Chrysler turbine car remains a captivating piece of automotive history, its numerous environmental and safety challenges eventually caused its disappearance from the market. X-ray shoe fitting machine. One of the most peculiar inventions of the mid-20th century was the X-ray shoe fitting machine, which became a staple in thousands of shoe stores during the 1950s and 1960s. Originally promoted as a cutting-edge technology guaranteeing the perfect shoe fit, customers, including many children, would enthusiastically place their feet into the device, exposing them directly to radiation. Instantly, a live skeletal image appeared, providing a unique and seemingly futuristic way to judge the fit. Unfortunately, the excitement quickly turned into concern. Repeated and prolonged exposure to these X-rays carried severe health risks, increasing the chances of skin damage, cancer, and genetic mutations. As medical awareness grew, public anxiety and lawsuits soon followed, eventually forcing these machines to be banned by the late 1950s in the United States. By the 1970s, stringent regulations were in place to prevent such uncontrolled radiation exposure in everyday settings. The X-ray shoe fitting machine remains a fascinating yet cautionary tale, illustrating how unchecked innovation can sometimes lead to serious public health hazards. Polyester clothing. The 1970s marked the height of polyester fashion, an era where flashy synthetic suits became a symbol of both disco glamour and professional style. Polyester was celebrated for being affordable, wrinkle-resistant, and effortlessly chic, making it a staple in wardrobes everywhere. But beneath its fashionable facade lurked a dangerous downside: extreme flammability. Unlike natural fabrics like cotton or wool, polyester posed a significant risk because it melted when ignited, bonding directly to the skin and causing devastating third-degree burns. Incidents involving open flames, cigarettes, or kitchen appliances frequently turned tragic, with countless reports of severe injuries linked to polyester garments. As awareness of these hazards spread, consumer advocacy groups rallied for stricter safety measures and improved manufacturing standards. By the end of the decade, regulations on fabric flammability were enacted, prompting clothing makers to incorporate fire-retardant treatments into synthetic textiles. Today, thanks to these precautions, polyester clothing is considerably safer, yet the shocking stories from its hazardous past remain a stark reminder of the need for vigilance in consumer safety. Nuclear-powered pacemakers. During the 1970s, medical technology took an audacious step forward by developing nuclear-powered pacemakers. These innovative devices utilized plutonium-238, a radioactive material designed to provide energy for an entire lifetime without ever needing battery replacements. Initially hailed as a groundbreaking solution for patients who required stable, long-lasting heart regulation, these nuclear pacemakers were viewed as revolutionary. However, excitement quickly turned to concern when the serious risks surfaced. If a nuclear pacemaker was damaged, whether through an accident or a surgical mishap, it could leak hazardous radioactive substances directly into the patient's body, dramatically increasing the likelihood of radiation poisoning and cancer. Beyond personal safety, disposing of these devices also posed severe challenges. Nuclear contamination risks meant they couldn't just be thrown away. Special handling was required. Thankfully, by the early 1980s, safer lithium-ion battery pacemakers emerged, making nuclear-powered devices unnecessary and obsolete. Fiberglass insulation. In the 1970s, fiberglass insulation soared in popularity, quickly becoming a staple in homes and commercial buildings thanks to its excellent thermal properties and lightweight design. Homeowners and builders embraced it for its affordability and ease of installation. Unfortunately, early versions of fiberglass insulation carried a hidden and alarming risk: extreme flammability. When exposed to open flames or high temperatures, these materials ignited quickly, turning from protective insulation into dangerous accelerants that intensified house fires rather than preventing them. Even more alarming was the toxic smoke produced by burning fiberglass. As it combusted, the insulation released hazardous fumes filled with formaldehyde and other carcinogenic chemicals, significantly increasing the danger for anyone trapped inside during a fire. As these severe risks came to light, consumer advocacy and stringent building codes forced manufacturers to improve the safety standards dramatically. Modern fiberglass insulation now meets rigorous fire resistance regulations, eliminating the catastrophic hazards that plagued its predecessors in the 1970s. Lawn darts. Unlike today's safer plastic-tipped darts designed for children's outdoor fun, the adult version of lawn darts in the 1970s was anything but harmless. These darts were large, heavy, and featured sharp steel tips, turning a casual backyard game into a potentially deadly activity. Initially marketed as recreational entertainment, lawn darts soon became infamous for their alarming and gruesome accidents. Particularly hazardous at social gatherings, where impaired judgment due to alcohol often played a role, these heavy projectiles led to numerous devastating injuries. Emergency rooms frequently treated victims with serious wounds, including skull punctures, brain trauma, and tragically, fatalities caused by errant throws or accidental mishandling. Public outrage intensified as the injuries mounted, eventually prompting widespread safety concerns and strong regulatory actions. By the early 1980s, following multiple tragic incidents and persistent advocacy from consumer safety groups, lawn darts were banned entirely in many countries. Today, the only available versions are significantly modified with blunt, safer tips, ensuring backyard fun no longer carries the grim risks of its dangerous predecessor. Polychlorinated biphenyls, PCBs. In the mid-20th century, polychlorinated biphenyls, commonly known as PCBs, emerged as a seemingly miraculous solution for preventing fires. Widely used as flame retardants in furniture, electrical equipment, and building insulation, PCBs were praised for their ability to withstand high temperatures and reduce the risk of fires dramatically. However, as time passed, scientific research unveiled a disturbing reality. PCBs were found to be incredibly toxic, posing severe health risks such as cancer, liver damage, reproductive complications, and immune system dysfunction. Even more troubling was their persistence in the environment. These harmful chemicals easily seeped into the air, water, and food supply, unknowingly exposing countless individuals to their toxic effects through breathing or skin absorption. The realization sparked significant public concern, prompting stringent regulations and, ultimately, a complete ban on PCBs in 1979 under the U.S. Toxic Substances Control Act. Despite the ban, their resilience in the environment means residues remain in older structures today, continuing to present health hazards long after their use was officially discontinued. Do you think today's technology will be banned in the future for being unsafe? What's your guess? While it was an interesting attempt at solving the age-old problem of mice infestations, the Cat-Mew Machine probably didn't have the same effectiveness as a real cat. Still, it stands as a fun example of the kind of creative solutions inventors dreamed up in the mid-20th century.